Hi there, beautiful, on the other side of the screen. Oh my gosh, Lisy Butterfly coming to you live right now in the Wild Goddesses Facebook group. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're here. If we have not met yet, oh my gosh, please say hi, hello, hello. And if you've been here a little while, then say hi too. Let me know how you're going today, what you're moving through. Well, I'm really excited because I've been watching this phenomenon for so many years now, and I'm like, we need to clear this once and forever. Um, and it literally is like this topic that I see coming up and up and up and up. And even if you're one of my advanced clients, like you probably will love this training because it will kind of come in as a beautiful freshen up from the things we've been working on, the things that you've seen happen, the experiences you've been having. And by the way, to those of you who have filled in our beautiful feedback session questionnaire about, the rebrand and all of the things that are happening all in the background, all in the secret places over here at Lisy Butterfly, I am so thankful to you. I can't wait to shower you with, our beautiful thank you gifts. And, we've been preparing them. And they will probably be shipped out next week because we're waiting for the final testimonials to come through. And of course, feel free to drop any testimonial here in the group if it feels relevant for you. If there's something that you really, really want to share and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate something that I've experienced in your container, Lizzie. Please do it here. Like, let the other women celebrate with you. All right, let's get into this training. Like, I've been feeling like there's this thing that, we keep coming back to, and it's fine that we come back to because this is the place where we get to really fine tune our mastery. We get to fine tune our energy. We get to fine tune who we desire to be. And there's this phenomenon that I've seen happen with women specifically, where no matter how much work you have done, and no matter how many times you have seen it, you have spotted it, even in yourself, we tend to fall back into this experience. And it really doesn't have to be this way. And yet, I'm like, there is an opportunity for us to even spot it when it's happening. And, all encompassingly, I could say this all breaks all the way down to the maiden archetype, where, the unhealed maiden, the unheld maiden, the unprotected maiden. How does it show up? Well, it shows up so many times in the form of feeling experiences that stall your conversation game, or thought experiences that have you kind of check out on what you really desire to create in your life. Or even, in relationships where you constantly have this sensation of, being below someone or being above someone, because we actually have two very distinct types. We have the maiden archetype that is coming from the inner child wounding, and we have the inner maiden archetype that's coming from the unhealed teenager. And so they both kind of feel a little bit different because of the nature of where they're coming from. And what I've seen women really come to is that we sort of have been conditioned to become complacent in being the maiden. This is like our natural go-to, right? This is where we people please. This is where we try to convince. This is where we try to make sure we don't ruffle any feathers. This is where we keep ourselves caged up in not expressing what we desire and not expressing at all, like not being in our creativity, not showing up, not, expressing ourselves the way we truly, truly desire to. And then when we do, it's almost like we kind of like peek out of our shell and then whoop, we quickly withdraw all the way back. And what that actually leads to is this experience that you just can't seem to solve your problems, right? You have an issue with a relationship, you have an issue with making money, you have an issue with making sales, you have an issue, and like this could even be an issue that you keep turning in on yourself and you keep criticizing and judging yourself. And then this kind of creates this roller coaster of emotions where all of a sudden you no longer have the problem, but you actually have the problem with a whole load of emotion. And this whole load of emotion, of course, has nowhere else to go but either to be suppressed or to be released. Okay. Well, that would be kind of like the pathway for another day. But what I really want to talk into is this experience that we just very quickly collapse into this maiden archetype, and it's a habituation. And we need to like break it, of course. But you're gonna ask me about Lisy, like how? How do we break this cycle of just collapsing all the way back into this, somehow submissive kind of experience to life where things start to happen to us and we're kind of like, stalling over our decisions. We're kind of stalling in conversations. We're, like feeling hot and cold about certain people. And then, we pull the plug and we don't actually, and here's the point, here's the common point. We don't actually receive what we really, really desire. And very often we kind of feel into this entrapment that not only do we not even get what we desire, we don't even allow ourselves to feel what we really desire. And this may be a bit of a radical shift. Like maybe you've spotted yourself playing in that experience, and that's fine, right? I just want you to take a deep breath in now and just release. And just come into a regulated breath as I'm speaking to you so that you can actually physiologically feel the difference, okay? Because when I have women coming to me in the maiden archetype, especially in the entrapped maiden archetype where, there's some inner child wounding going on, or there's some, wounded teenagers thing going on where, the wounded child kind of feels more like this experience of, I just don't know what to do, right? I'm experiencing something. I don't know what to do about it. Please tell me how to solve this, right? So they turn into their outside world, first of all, to take information that they're not good enough, right? And secondly, that the solution can definitely not come from themselves, but it has to come from the outside. This will be, if you work with clients, this will be the type of client that will be clingy, that will be coming in for, advice or coaching or therapy sessions, like last minute on the dot, and they literally want you to solve their issue right there and then as quickly as possible. Or who usually comes in with questions around, I'm just experiencing this and it's beyond me and I don't know what to do about it. Okay. Then we have the teenager. The teenager feels more like they're in this self-righteousness. They're in this hardened, often they're in rage, often they're in this scolding experience, right? So when we're in the maiden teenager, that the unprocessed, unhealed maiden teenager, what really occurs is we're feeling this sensation that there's a hierarchy and we just have to be above it at all costs. So we can't let love in, we can't let help in, we just know, and that's it. And with that, we kind of become rigid because we actually subconsciously turn everyone else into enemies rather than turning them into allies. And that's often because the unprocessed teenager has not yet learned how to negotiate, how to reposition things in a way where there's openness, there's curiosity, there's play, there's freedom, actual true freedom, not just the experience of feeling free, but actually the experience of embodying freedom to such an extent where we have tolerance over how other people are experiencing other stuff in their life, and we don't need to hold on so rigidly to certain ideas. And what I really want you to feel into is that both of these energies of the maiden actually are made to create issues, okay? Because their energy is either leaking, right? Leaking life force and trying to get something outside of themselves to pull it in, right? The other one is taking inventory in the outside world as being the enemy, right? And literally protecting against that outside world and, having this experience of, I'm just going to have to do this alone, right? Very often, this also comes through as we can't allow love in, we can't allow support in, we can't allow help in, and we can't allow truly healthy conversations either. Okay? So, what needs to happen here? First of all, of course, we need to spot that we're playing in this spectrum, right? Where we are measuring our success, measuring our validity, measuring our capability, measuring our power of deciding outside of ourselves, right? And we need to pull that back. We need to pull actually our power back to ourselves. Or that we have festered so much in our own power that we can't be soft and supple and receive the other. So the first stage, of course, is to just release and be aware that you have an option. But the second one, and that's really the most important one, is that we really kind of need to project forward into the future and call in a whole new identity, a whole new version of ourselves. And that is sometimes the most difficult, because when we're entrapped in this emotional, oh my gosh, and oh my gosh, and oh my gosh, it's really difficult to see clearly. And this is really where, all of my body of work and all of embodiment practices that you could possibly know and do will come in so handy, because they will keep you in your juicy constants of understanding, when am I off and when am I dysregulated, right? When am I like completely regulated? When am I dysregulated? And the more we calibrate there, the easier it's going to be to actually spot when we're kind of coming off spectrum with our power and with the capacity to call our power to us. Now, when we actually go and move further into the future, we really want to look into, and this is really the place where I feel like with certain questions, we keep entrapped in these lower archetypes. And we really need to move the needle according to how we ask a question. And this is really sometimes a bit of a mind-boggling thing, because we have to do one thing that we're not even conditioned to do, which is that we do have full agency, that we do have the capacity, and that we have the power of deciding, right? And this version of ourselves who actually already has the solution to the problem, she will ask very, very different questions. And the undercurrent through which these questions come also come from, regulation, understanding, tolerance, right? And there's a certain level of leadership that kicks in, because we all of a sudden realize that this isn't about getting something, right? This isn't about getting other people to do what we want. This is about a co-creation, and this is about being supple with life, but at the same time, understanding very strongly who we are at the core. And so the movement and the shift that really needs to happen is that and this is really where I spot that when a client has quickly moved out of that state, is she's not coming into me, right, to tell her what to do or to give her validation for blaming other people and so on. But she's coming in to say, like, Lizzie, I feel like I am really, entrapped in a certain state right now. And I really desire this ultimate outcome. Like, this is what I truly, truly desire, right? And that is only possible for her because she has already projected into the future and into an outcome of knowing what she really, really wants. Yeah. And so this is the identity we then need to pull back here and really begin to embody the woman who has already solved this. She didn't just solve it, but she actually solved it in the most beautiful, pristine ways. She didn't just solve it, but she actually managed to have even more intimacy. She managed to turn the whole situation around. Things turned into her best favor, right? And everything started to synchronize and work according to her desire. And this is really the identity that, as women, we're just not conditioned naturally to do, because we are literally conditioned to go seek outside of ourselves, right? Because we just don't know. We're not enough. We can't possibly know, right? So we check out of knowing. And then something really interesting happens, or we kind of rigidify and we don't actually share our desire. We don't actually share what we really want, right? We just go get it ourselves. And so the woman who has really solved this entire issue, you know, like the bigger scope of the issue, she not only has access to her desire, but she actually expands, right? She expands in her relationships, she expands in conversation, she expands the terrain into curiosity, into creativity, into love, into renegotiating things, right? So that not everyone necessarily will be happy, but that the right things can actually come to her that she really needs, right? And she makes standards and commitments along that line, which is very, very different from the, you know, entrapped maiden who will literally people please because she doesn't know what else to do, right? Or who will reject people's help and advice because it's just not what she wanted to hear. But instead, you know, we create allies. Instead, we reparent this younger maiden and we give her the courage and the confidence slowly, right? And this is really where we become very supple with moving our attention outwards into the world, taking inventory to the places that we really need to know, and we move our attention back in and we actually feel ourselves, right? And of course, that includes feeling the pain and feeling the wounding that you've had, right, as a child and as a teenager growing up. But simultaneously, there's this suppleness that takes place where you actually can receive love, attention, intimacy, and everything else that you desire, right? And you no longer make assumptions, right? You no longer think that you have to be a certain way for people to love you or to validate you, right? But it's like there's this suppleness that takes place and you start to actually see that, well, yeah, people do have completely this understanding that, well, people have free will, basically, and you still get to have what you desire, right? And you get to move the needle into the problem from the perspective of, I am the woman who solved this problem already. I am the woman who has already made peace with whatever it is that she's struggling with, she can't seem to hold, she can't seem to access, right? And so really, like, this could boil all the way down to reestablishing an identity of being the grown ass woman, right? Establishing this identity that the power is in your hands and that the power is also in co-creating with life, okay? Because the young maiden who is in the child perspective thinks that she doesn't have the power, okay? The maiden who's entrapped in the teenagehood uses her power in order to just get what she wants, but there's no heart, okay? And so the emotional roller coaster is basically made that, you know, the inner child maiden is basically continuously inflicting pain on herself, and then ultimately it leads to, you know, pain in her outside world. And the inner teenager is basically inflicting pain on others, but ultimately, like, not receiving the love she really, really wants either, right? Which ultimately will lead to pain. This is the woman who is, you know, the independent, the one who's gone, you know, into healing modalities and has completely, you know, shut down all pathways to men, all pathways to family, all pathways to friendship, right? Or the bulldozer person who, right? I'm just painting, you know, extreme, like, images to just, you know, create a tapestry for you. But just in business, you know, the woman who has just become really, really rigid in her ways and can't receive help, or when she's receiving help, she's just scolding everyone because she's not really receiving what she wants, instead of renegotiating things, instead of repositioning the timeline, instead of repositioning, her arguments of boundaries and so on, right? The younger maiden, child maiden, will not even get to the place of desire, will not even get to the place of, well, this is what I desire, this is what I want, this is what is possible for me, right? I may not have things right because she thinks she needs to have it all right. By the way, the teenager also carries a lot of shame around not being good enough, but it's kind of suppressed, right? It's suppressed under this hard shell, right? Whereas the wounded child will be more in this experience of, well, I'm feeling this pain and I can't possibly get out of it. And so sometimes there's this victimization of self-inflicted victimization. So all of this to say is that if you want to solve any problem, you first of all need to spot whether you're looking at the problem from this immature version of you. First of all, quickly locate, are you more on the spectrum of the child or more on the spectrum of the teenager, right? And then reinstalling the codex of the powerful, capable, absolutely pristine woman who takes responsibility for her life, takes it in her hands, and, goes and finds the resources, goes and connects with people, goes and negotiates things until she received exactly what she desired, right? Because it's a very different game when we come and we look at problems, right? And this is like one of the things that I love in my program, Elevated Goddess. This is really what you're experiencing, is all of a sudden you start to see things from above, from this mature, emotionally intelligent, evolved woman who can really look down at things and see things from a whole different perspective, right? And here's one thing that I really, really love when we're embodying this healthy, mature, wise woman, is that we actually no longer forfeit our responsibility. And we also no longer forfeit the places where maybe we have fallen short on. And there is so much forgiveness. There's so much love. There's so much connection. And this is really something that, the women experience on a regular, is that they see how they, them playing in this wounded child archetype actually never enabled them to have real face-to-face table, sitting at the same table kind of conversations with the people they love the most, right? And also that sometimes they would just basically bulldozering everyone around them. And, just to get a quick fix of dopamine or a quick fix of drama, and not really being considerate about, how this person may feel in the long term with you. And then, on top of that, not knowing how to recognize, appreciate, and really, connect with people from an authentic place. Because when we carry this mask of the maiden, the unprocessed maiden, it can very quickly feel like we just keep running behind life and we can never get enough, right? We can never get enough love, and we can never get enough power on the maiden teenager side, right? And that is because they're both running in that undercurrent circuitry that there is not enough of it, when actually you are already belonging. You're already loved, validated, certified, validated, like you already have permission, right? And your opinion is already valid, and you can grow more, right? Yes, the pain, the rage, all of the things you're feeling are valid, and you can do more. You can hold more. You can leverage the heat of your intensity and leverage it for the highest good, for all of your relationships, Your clients, your parents, your friends, your family members, your partner, your children, everyone. Because the thing is that no one will really be able to see you, like I really mean you directly, like really be able to connect with your heart if you're carrying this armor around you, right? And this is really what I would like love every single woman on the planet is to actually meet in the depth of love to an extent like where you have never even seen it yet. And to actually get you to your next level of problems. Because chances are even that your wise, like mature, like well-connected woman, the way she even looks at that problem that you're having right now, she may be completely disinterested even in the problem. And that's like something that really happens because she sees, well, there is so much more value on a whole other level, right? Like my energy, my time, my stamina, my presence, my beauty, my radiance is so wanted on another plane. Like, why would I even spend my time here? And this is really how I love it. Like when this happens is when women truly claim this beautiful, wealthy, integrated woman within themselves. It's truly like magic. Like, you know, I have clients who keep continuously reporting to me like, Lisy, ever since I activated this woman in me, it's like the miracle, like the lane of miracles and magic just keeps opening up and things just keep coming to me that are really meant for me. And I know what it is I made that internal shift, right? I held my maidens and I walked with them and I dropped deeply into being the woman I desire to be. And that's phenomenal, right? And this is totally possible for you. By the way, for every woman. And this is really what I love about women's empowerment work so much is that this is truly the best historical time to be alive, honestly. Because most, and I can really say this, like, especially if you're watching this and you even have, you know, access to a computer to watch this, you will be one of these privileged women who don't really need to fight in the survival of life. You may have layers to this. I fully get it. But you have access to resources that were never, ever available to women before. And sometimes we just have not yet caught up to the fact that we also have this energetic circuitry that's available to us. It's literally readily available. Like it's on the banquet, it's on the buffet, ready for you to eat from it and enjoy it and indulge in it. Indulge in your power, indulge in your relationships, indulge in the love, indulge in the intimacy, indulge in the sales that feel good, indulge in the businesses that really light you up, indulge in the growth, the expansion, the beauty, the playfulness, the joy, the lightness. It's all there, right? And it really is in this internal shift where you are the woman who handles it and who looks at things from an elevated vision. And here's the magic. When you look at life and people from this elevated vision, it's truly like living in a whole new world. Because people actually start to see you differently. And that's a fact, right? It's magic. All right, my loves. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was a beautiful reminder for those of you who already are in my world, or that it maybe touched upon some new things that maybe you had not touched before. And if you've watched this training for the first time here in the Wild Goddesses Group, oh my gosh, this is so good. Welcome here. And I will see you very, very soon. Sending you so much love.